Well, hello again, and welcome back to Do-It-Yourself Musician. Today on the bench, I have a Drawmer CMC2. This unit belongs to me. Having a little trouble with it for maybe about the last year. About a year or so ago, a cat threw up on this. And very, very caustic, wet vomit got inside. And long and short of it is the input one switch doesn't work. The whole input does not seem to work. I can't get anything to come through input one. Input two, I'm good with. I got signal coming out of it. As you can see, I got some signals I'm putting in here right now. But during the course of this, I noticed that this volume pot is also really bad. I mean, when I was trying to get signals in there to look at it, I couldn't even find the signal in the channel that I know that worked. And so it turned out that this volume pot's pretty bad. And I'll take you up to the scope and you can take a look at what I'm talking about. So you can see on the scope here, I've got the signal tracer coming in to the input 2, then I've got the A and B outputs going to the scope up here, and I've got a couple of like halfway decent traces on here right now. But look what happens when I just barely move the main volume on the CMC2. Of course, now it's not going to act up on me, is it? Yeah, as soon as I turn the camera on, it starts to act a little decent, but let me shake it around. You can see that right there. See it a little, yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, I just lost the right side there. The blue is the right side trace. See, it's just going away. And that's the main volume pot doing that. My camera just ran out of battery, but anyways, here is the signal through the headphone output. Plenty, I mean, tons of drive there actually. Plenty of drive. And that one's working fine. Anything you see there on the scope that's just the scope trigger doing that. It's noise on the lines. All right, just a little closer look at what's going on here. Here's the input one selector, and you can see no LED. This is input two. It should do like that. You should get an LED come on, hear a relay click, but there's just nothing here. It's just dead. Everything else seems to work though. Mute, mono switch. The dim switch I believe works, but these little button you see it right there. These little button caps they break in half right here. And there's also another one here that broke in half, and it's missing on the B output. But everything else seems to be functioning, so it's mostly this input volume knob, and we need to do something about these caps. And then full disclosure, when I realized this was broke, I took it apart and did some cleaning in there just to stop any of the cat vomit from destroying the board even further. And at that time I did order some parts, so I do have some parts here for this right now. I've got some replacement switches. I've got the volume pot, which this is interesting that it's on this little board, but we'll look at that here in a minute. And also switch caps, even though these are black. They're not this kind of black chrome color, but we'll figure that out. Anyways, next thing you do is just take it apart, and we'll see what's going on with input one. So we might have to take these little nuts off too to get it to come out. Okay, Okay, it looks like 4 screws are holding down the PCB. So here's the board out of the chassis, and I just done a little inspection on it. So input 1 are these 2 jacks, left, right, and I think it's these 2 relays. There's a lot of vias on this board, so I'm having to look at it and flip it and look. But it appears it just really runs down to the relays, and the switch activates the relays. I don't think it's any more complicated than that as far as activating the channel switching. Now, there are a lot of op amps in here that are doing some various things. Probably a lot to do with the phase mono and dim control and things like that, driving the headphone out or whatnot. But I'm not looking at any of that right now. Mostly I'm just concerned about getting this running. It's probably one or two or both of these relays in this switch. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to apply some power to it and then see if I can see what relays are here, what relays are switching. Well, that was an ordeal. I've spent some time here trying to trace out what was going on, because there's a lot of vias on this board. In other words, the traces are on this side, they're jumping to the other side, jumping back to this side. They're moving back and forth a lot, so it's kind of hard to figure out what exactly is happening. Let me turn this off real fast. Plug it. Shit. Okay. So, just so you can see what's going on. So, the way this arrangement is this is input 1 on these 2 jacks. These 2 relays are controlling these 2 jacks via this switch. When you push this switch in, you're sending 15 volts to switch these relays. The center relay is the aux relay, which is actually this switch. The input 2 are these 2 relays. And it's doing the same thing. When you push that in, you're sending 15 volts over to throw those relays. That works. The 15 volts for these relays is missing. So these switches are switching 15 volts to the relays. I've got 15 volts at this switch. I don't have 15 volts coming into this switch. So I need to find out where my missing voltage is, because maybe the switch and the relays are fine. This could be further back up the chain. I don't have a schematic for this, so I'm just kind of trying to sniff it out. So here are these switches here. This is input 1, this is input 2, and this is the aux input switch. And the way these switches work is that these center pins are basically commons. So when the switch is in its out position, these 2 pins are connected. When the switch is depressed, these 2 pins are connected. So if I put some voltage on this, let's turn it on. Let me make sure. Let's look, because we know that channel or input 2 here is working. Make sure my focus is good. So let's check and see. I got a ground over here. Let's see what we got here. That's 15 volts. That's 15 volts. That one's 15 volts. But then here, no 15 volts. So why is that? So I need to figure out what is feeding 15 volts to these center pins. Because just to show you, let me get back on my ground over here. So I got 15 volts there, 15 volts there, and if I switch this down, I now have 15 volts here and 15 volts here, and on input 2 this runs away to the relay coils, 15 volts, And 15 volts there, yeah, just not making good contact. So yeah, so switch out. I've got 15 volts on the center pin. The switch in, I've got 15 volts on the center pin, and then off of this pin to the relays, which means that the 15 volts is coming through these center pins, but it doesn't look like it's on this side of the board. Okay, so I was right. What I figured out is it's very difficult to see, but you can see there's a little trace that runs along here. Comes out, looks like it comes from this cap maybe. I'm not actually sure where that goes exactly, but it comes along here and it runs underneath through here and through here, all three of these switches. That's where the 15 volts is coming from. I've got 15 volts here, I've got 15 volts here, but I don't have 15 volts here. But if you take a look, I can't really get in there. I can't get that close to things, but looks a little green right there. So I'm wondering, either here or here, maybe this trace is actually just broken, and that's why we're not getting 15 volts to our input 1 relays. Okay, so apparently we need to get this switch out of here. I'm going to take the center one out, which is the input 2 switch, because that green corrosion, I'm kind of guessing that maybe the trace is bad underneath that one. If not, we'll pop this guy out. I do have replacements for these, so I might just take them out and replace them. So let's go ahead and let's get this guy out of the board. Let's see. Let's see, what do we have here now? Pretty corroded looking. All right, well, yeah, there's a lot of corrosion down there. I can't really tell if the pad is gone. Maybe the pad's gone. I'm not real sure. Yeah, I'm going to have to clean that up. Try to get that junk out of there and then test for continuity. I mean, it looks like it still has copper on it, but it's definitely lost its plating. The only thing I could really do now is just kind of do a continuity test to see if we have, because we should be between here and here, 15 volts. Maybe it was bad contact, I don't know. Yeah, there's still nothing there. So let's see. Got nothing to that pad. So taking a little bit closer look at this, I mean this generally looks okay on this pad. Could be the actual connection between the trace and the pad that's maybe broken. It's really hard to see, it's so small, but I have noticed that the pad underneath here is also green. It's corroded, so I'm going to take this switch out too. Yeah, lots of corrosion there. That guy was fighting me pretty good. And also lots of corrosion there. Great. All right, now let's continuity test across there. Yep, nothing. I mean, I don't even have anything. Oh yeah, I do. Okay. All right, so there's good. It's just this trace is broken somewhere here. Okay. Looks like we're probably gonna have to repair that. Well, I don't have good enough camera equipment to get close enough to show you, but I can see with my optics that the trace is broken right where it comes into this pad. It's just right there. It's just corroded away. It's just not there. So I'm gonna have to put a link between these two pads, and I can either do that on this side of the board, or I mean, really, I could just solder them in and just put a piece of wire, like a component leg or something, pin to pin. That's probably what I'll do. It'll be fine. It's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, I guess that's what we'll do. And just because that's kind of corroded down there in that small little area, I'm going to put some of this concentrated deoxit D100 down on there. Just wet it down a little bit. Try to maybe kill some of that corrosion that got in there on those contacts. Just going to put it all around here where it got affected, and then just kind of rub it in there. Cleans and protects, as they say. Cleans and protects. Like I said, I have ordered, I do have some replacement switches, so I'm going to replace those two switches since they are pretty, I mean, I don't know, they're not too bad, but some of the legs here are pretty corroded. Yeah. There's some corrosion there. And also on this guy, you can see it. Yep. It was very easy to order replacement parts. CMC 2, sorry, the Drawmer CMC 2. Drawmer Audio is sold by, or distributed by, if I get my words right. So in the United States, Drawmer is distributed and serviced by Trans Audio Group, transaudiogroup.com. You should be able to find them there in Las Vegas. And they do have parts for all of this stuff, which is great that they're servicing their equipment and having parts available. So you always want to make sure that you're soldering on straight and square. So just tack one pin. That's what I was just doing there, is tacking one pin first and making sure that it was nice and square, especially because there's not a lot of room for error in this unit with the faceplate. Little ground plane behind that. Okay. So that's the new switches installed. And I know I have some, yeah, I'm going to use like a component leg from a resistor. Just get a sacrificial 2K resistor leg here. Just a nice little piece of wire. That's all that's needed. Just to go across there like that. So I'm going to tack him in there. Try to get it down flush and tack it there, like that. And I think you saw that. And no, we are not attaching a resistor. I'm just using the leg. So I'm going to cut it right there. Okay. Are we laying bets on whether or not that fixed the problem? Because that will bring our 15 volts over. And I will clean this up. But first, I just want to test it to see if the relay throws. So let's go ahead and apply power. Where's my power at? Here he is. All right, let's make sure these switches are up. Let's apply power. Okay, let's see if it throws. Yeah, I heard it throw. I don't have an LED though. You know what? I realize what I did now. I thought I had continuity though. I don't know, is our LED dead? More study is needed. Okay, let's see what we have here now. I should have 15 volts, and I do. 15 volts there too. All right, and I should not have it here. Well, I do have it there. Is that pushed already? Hang on. Oh, that was in. It was switch was down already. All right, so push it in. I just heard a relay go. 15, 15. I should have 15 here. I don't. Wait, hang on. 15 here. 15 here. That's right. Okay. Let's see if the signal's getting through to confirm whether or not those relays are actually throwing over. I'm just going to poke around in here with the scope to see what I can find. Yeah, I got a signal there. And a signal there. It looks right. Let me double check this. So I have, yeah, a good signal there. Yeah, that's right. All right, good signal. Yeah, both of those relays are working. They're both throwing. That's good. So maybe it's the LED's just dead. Okay, we'll just measure these diodes and see what we're getting. Yep, 0.7 there. 0.6 there. That one's open. Ugh. Oh wait, hang on. 0.6. Oop, trying to get in there. Yeah, that's not reading right. Huh, weird. 7 volts. Yeah, I think that LED's dead. What to do, what to do. So I went ahead and pulled that LED out of the PCB and put a little voltage across it. It does actually light up. So this LED works. It's not, sorry, it's not a tiny little things here I'm doing. Hopefully you can see that lighting up. But yeah, it works. So it's not the LED. Okay, so this is where I took the LED out from here. And each one of these has a current limiting resistor. Looks like 2.2K. Not getting anything there. That one's 2.2K. Yeah, am I on that guy? Hang on. 2.2K. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So this current limiting resistor is blown. It's a 2.2K surface mount, which I don't know if I have that. I have to figure that one out. Okay, of course I don't have a 2.2K surface mount resistor, so I just temporarily stuck a regular 2.2K resistor in there and put the LED back in. And I'm going to apply some power and see what the behavior is now. Make sure these switches are off. Let's turn it on. That one wasn't on. Let's see if it comes on now. Look at that. That's what you want to see right there. So I think that's fixed. Still probably need to put a signal into it just to make sure that it comes out clean. But before I do that, this volume pot was giving me trouble, and I did buy another one of those too. Yeah, here is the volume pot arrangement. It's very strange. It's like they just mounted it to this board that has some pin headers on it. So it's just sort of a plug and play type of thing. At least I think it is. I'm going to turn this off. Remove the power. Should be able to just pull this out then. Yeah, it came right out. You know, and I would say that it's pretty loose. You know, this arrangement, like I guess I kind of get what they're getting at here, but I mean, that's could be a failure point. I mean, and all three of these are like that. I mean, you could just get, I mean, this pot might be fine. It could just be these contacts are not making good enough contact, but you know, I don't know. It seems like a point of possible failure in an otherwise good unit. Went this way, right? Oh, I'm missing it. Yeah. This one feels like it's going to be tighter. Anyways, I think before I do that, I'm going to rub a little bit of that deoxit onto those pins just to clean them. Then we'll mount this guy up. Definitely a lot of junk coming off those. Okay. Now the new guy. New guy on block. Yeah, that does feel tighter than the other one. And it'll be interesting to test this one to see how bad it actually is, if it's even bad at all. All right, I'm feeding a 1 kilohertz signal into the input 1 jack on the, what is that? That's the left connect, no, right, that's the right connector. And so on the output right here, I should see the signal, and I do. So here is speaker output B. Got a signal there, and I can turn it off, on. Here's a speaker output A. Can turn that one off and on. And let's use here's our volume. And there's a lot of noise because I have these long wires and everything hooked up, but yeah, there's our volume pot. You can see it's nice and smooth. Yeah, any flickering you see in there is just the scope not triggering. It's just because of my setup here, but yeah, that's nice and smooth. I don't see anything wrong with that. So it looks like we've got our channel 1 back. Well, I'm going to say that this thing is repaired. I think we fixed it and got it running now. I just need to figure out this resistor over here. I still have this current limiting resistor here needs to be a surface mount part. I mean, I could just leave this one in here. It's not that big of a deal. But I feel like I do have a surface mount one somewhere, so I'm going to try to find that and put surface mount part in there. But then after that, I'll just reassemble the unit. It's good to me. You know, I have to go back and look at my footage, but I seem to have more washers. I thought there was just single washers on here, but I'll put these extras on this volume knob because that's another thing. It's another thing I don't like about this arrangement with these pots is that, I mean, look, see how they're kind of not sitting straight. It's very weird. I mean, that straightened them up a little bit, but maybe that'll keep the, as you can tell, this volume pot was crooked and it was rubbing right here. Here, let me make sure this goes on right. Get your little dots lined up. All right, let's see. Well, the light shows turn everything on. It all seems to be working now. Yeah, when you got mute, the speaker outs, or it turns them off when you mute. Yeah, that's nice. Feels good. Another interesting feature about this unit is it has like a speaker. There's like a delay on the speaker out, so when you turn it on, if you watch, the input one will come on, but there will be a delay before the speaker selects come on. Yeah, see that? I mean, that was a good, what was that, 5 seconds or something? Yeah, it's like a 5-second delay. I wonder if there's some type of muting in there too. I don't know. Well, there you go. There's one repaired Drawmer CMC2. That wasn't too bad. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.